Welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 969-KTRS, 888-550-KTRS, or star KTRS from your cell phone.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial Group.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, sunny downtown Clayton, Missouri. I was going to add something in there.
Warm.
I just lost it. Very warm outside, that's right. I'm a 35-plus year veteran in the financial services area, a fee-based investment advisor and financial planner. And I'm joined this week and every single week by my favorite oldest prodigal daughter, Erin, who also is a fee-based investment advisor and financial planner.
And I run the health insurance side of our practice as well. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one that they can count on so they can do all the things that they want to do during retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to supplement their medical coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass it on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their investment advisors, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure that they're staying on track. And that's the way they call us the retirement coaches. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning.
Ready?
Every morning.
That's wonderful, and thank you so much for taking your time and joining us this Saturday, all the listeners out there in Radio Land. Our phone lines are always open at 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS. We always have a lot of things on our minds, but what's more important is what's on yours.
That's right.
Thinking about your 401ks, hopefully watching those balances grow.
So nice.
So nice. It is nice to see things grow. Maybe you've received an inheritance. You have questions about IRAs, Roth IRAs. Maybe you have questions about your 401k, possibly about health care. Health insurance coaches in the house, whether you're transitioning to Medicare, thinking about that. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS. And as a reminder, Aaron and I do work with folks that are just like you. Those between the ages of 55 and 75, those that would like to retire or already retired. And we help them create a game plan so they can have a fun, hopefully worry-free, secure retirement.
That's right.
And if you'd like to get in touch with us during the week, it's easy to do. All you need to do is either you can give our office a call, 314-863-0008, or send us an email, and there's lots of ways of doing that, isn't there?
That's right. You can just email us directly at jeff@jblfinancial.com or aaron@jblfinancial.com, or you can log on to our website, jblfinancial.com, and click Contact Us and send us an email with your question, and we will respond to you within 24 hours.
We
likely.
promise to do that. And while you're at your website, you know what else you can do?
You can subscribe to our monthly newsletter.
We call it the Coach's Corner.
That's right. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page on the left-hand side, click Sign Up. Give us your name, phone number, email address, year of birth. We send it out to you every single month.
It's fun. It's free. And we usually have 4 different articles each month.
And we have a brand new newsletter to discuss.
Hot off the presses.
That's accurate. The first article is 4 numbers you need to know now.
And I didn't know you talked a little bit about that yesterday on John Carney's show.
That's and you know what? I even mentioned that I might plug the John Carney show. So thank you for taking care of that for me.
We love John.
Yes, we do. What we discussed yesterday was the first number that you need to know, which is your retirement plan contribution rate.
That's really important.
Exactly, because if you are lucky enough to work for an employer that offers a retirement plan, many employers auto-enroll you into that, and with the lowest contribution rate that is required.
Which I think is 3%, isn't it?
Exactly. But if you have goals and you want to accumulate more inside of your retirement account in a faster amount of time, you really want to pay attention to your contribution rate. Also, you want to make sure that if you happen to work for an employer that might match more than what you're currently contributing, you want to be able to take advantage of those matching dollars.
That's right, because once they're gone forever.
Exactly, and the fastest way to accumulate more is some free money from your employer.
Well, that's great, Aaron. So what are the other couple articles we have?
We also have setting up a simple IRA plan. It's simple.
It is simple, and these are really made for small employers, aren't they?
Exactly. And they give the employee, first of all, they give your employees the opportunity to contribute at higher rates than just an IRA. It's an added benefit to your employees because employers also contribute to these. But the nice thing is that employers only have to match the individuals that are contributing. So if you have employees that don't want to contribute, you don't have to match.
Right, and the normal IRA limit is $6,500 if you're over the age of 50, $5,500 if you're not.
Exactly.
But with the simple limits, they're much higher than that, aren't they?
Exactly. With the simple, it's $12,500, and if you're over 50, it's $15,500, so $15,500.
That's fabulous.
Exactly. So you can basically double your contribution rate with these.
And these are really great for companies that don't want to get involved in 401k plans, which can be expensive to set up and maintain.
There's no reporting on these because they are, even though it is a retirement plan through an employer, all of these accounts are individual, so the employees can take them with them very easily if necessary.
Yeah, it's cool, and they don't have to sell anything. They just walk away. You take them off the list.
Exactly. You just stop adding money to their accounts.
That's a terrific. Those are terrific plans, and I know that you can actually establish a plan as late as October.
Yes.
During the year, so
still a lot of time.
A lot of time.
The third article is Expect the Unexpected, What to Do If You Become Disabled.
Good article.
Absolutely. So it gives you some tips, some things to think about, aside from just Social Security disability. The last 2 articles are, I'm thinking about buying a new home. Should I consider the risk of climate changes? Why was that funny?
I don't know. It's just the whole thing with the Paris Accords and.
It was a little too timely.
Yes, a little too timely.
Too timely. This is about insurance. This is not. This is no dissertation on if or if not climate change exists.
Well,
just
we don't do political stuff, so I understand.
Just what to do to protect yourself in the event that because, for example, we had a massive ice storm 2 years ago. What might you do in that situation?
Very good. And what's the last one?
What is a funeral trust?
There you go. Those are important trusts that can be set up for folks.
Exactly.
And you'll get some more details by tuning in and subscribing to our newsletter, right?
That's right, jblfinancial.com. The other way, however, to get more information from us is checking out our social pages. So Facebook, Twitter, and also those 2. If you use the hashtag Straight Talk when you're commenting on anything that we've posted, we'll be sure to respond to you. A couple of the very fun articles that we have this week on Facebook, one of which is What to Do in St. Louis Next Week. It includes 20 things to do this summer for under $10. And especially for our Illinois clients, we have ticket info posted for the Apex Motorsports race experience at the Gateway Motorsports Park. So,
they have all the fun stuff over in Illinois.
Yeah. So also, if you happen to live in Missouri and you want to go over there, we have the tickets posted. So it might be a fun adventure over in Illinois.
That's great. And just as a reminder, Erin and her staff do keep the last 6 to 12 months of these archived for your viewing, downloading, printing convenience.
That's right, and also on the Facebook and Twitter, we do post some of the articles as well, so if you follow us, you'll get to see some of the snippets from the newsletter.
Terrific. And again, you can get that by going to our website, jblfinancial.com. And I do remind folks that all the things that Aaron and I talk about on the show really come from several source areas. Number one is your calls that we receive in the office, also coaching sessions that we have with current and prospective clients, and also emails that we receive either directly or through the website. What's nice is doing it through the Contact Us section. You can write a blurb if you want.
That's true.
It's and it gets directly to us as well. So,
yes.
And we do promise to respond to those. Again, that's jblfinancial.com, which is cool. Aaron, we do have a few things that we want to talk about today while we're waiting for the phone lines to ring up at 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS. The first one I thought would be nice is that we did receive an email from a client just yesterday, and I thought this would be a good topic to discuss today because when folks do retire, the first question they generally have is, when can I begin to pull money from my retirement accounts without penalty?
Right.
And we know that's 59.5 unless you use one of the special rules. But then the question is, when do I definitely have to start taking?
When do I have to take?
Right, and that really goes into the requirement of distributions. And so if you do retire close to, and we do have many folks that retire very close to their Medicare eligibility, they don't have very many years till they have to start taking money.
That's very true.
Out of their plans. And so let's go through this email. I did receive this from a client the other day, and he said, Jeff, I want to make sure that I'm not subject to any penalty since I did not start taking out money when I was 70 and a half this past February. He was born in August. He turned 70 last year in August. And his question was, is this correct? Will I have any penalty? So what's the general rule here, Aaron?
The general rule is that you need to begin taking money out on December 31st of the year you turn 70 and a half, or by April 1st of the year following the year you turn 70 and a half.
Right, and if you do put it off and do wait until that following April,
you have to take two.
Right, for the age 70 and the age 71 as well. We've got a couple of callers online. Let's take Jay. Jay, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning. I was intrigued by the article that you talked about home ownership and climate change. I, like 98% of the scientists, believe that climate change is very real and it's going to occur.
Okay.
That's what the science community says. Can't argue with it.
Well,
it's not political.
Do you have a financial question here, my friend?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's
right.
get to it.
Last week I actually tried to call. I don't think you were live last week. You talked a lot about ways people can maximize their money and such, but it seemed in general that it was all aimed at people with substantial assets. And isn't it still true that the majority of retirees right now are retiring with about $30,000 at even maybe $25,000? What do people like that do?
Well, I do appreciate your call, and I'll answer that for you. We don't see those folks.
Unfortunately.
The only people that we would be aware of, and it is possible that folks could retire with very small amounts of either retirement or non-retirement assets if they have either lifestyles, expenses,
right,
that are being matched by Social Security and possibly a pension. But most folks are in a situation where when they make the decision to retire, assuming they're doing it voluntarily and not because of health reasons, they're doing so because they've been able to build a sufficient level of cash or assets where we can create an income flow for them. And again, it doesn't mean that, and I don't like to give the impression because we really don't here, is that you have to have $1 million or $2 million or whatever to retire, because in fact you don't. Probably the average folks that we see have less than $1 million of assets.
Absolutely.
And there's reasons for that.
Sure.
A lot of them are covered by pensions.
Yes.
Some of them have inherited money.
Right. The other thing is that a substantial amount of money is all relative, right? Because really what we're looking to do, what our game plan is based on, is your cash flow. So how much are you actually spending to maintain your lifestyle? And for a lot of people that we see, Social Security makes up a significant portion of the money that they need to retire on.
Usually 30 to 40%.
If they have a pension, that makes up another chunk.
30 to 50%.
And then we're just looking to fund that difference. And even for individuals that might not have a pension, because as we're seeing the later leg of the baby boomer generation, we're seeing less companies that had offered pensions than we did before. And it's really all about your lifestyle as to how much you actually need in retirement, because it's about matching the inflows with the outflows.
Yeah, and I would say that folks that have very small amounts of assets outside of their fixed income flows, they just have to be careful because emergencies happen, things occur, and not having access to capital puts more strain on your cash flow. And that's really something that we would look at. But, Donna, what's your question today? Hello. You there, Donna? Hi, Donna.
Yes. I'm thinking of retiring earlier than 65.
Okay.
How hard would it be to get health insurance?
Great question, Donna. Actually, it really won't be very difficult for you to secure health insurance. You have a lot of different options. Do you happen to be married?
Yes.
Is your husband currently working?
No, he's retired.
Oh, all right.
It's Medicare.
Oh, great. Okay, well then.
Are you working?
Well, she is currently working, looking to retire before 65.
Okay.
So you would have the opportunity to take COBRA benefits from your current employer for 18 months. I'm not sure if that would bridge you all the way to 65.
No, I would need about another year.
Okay, so if you needed another year, what would happen is under the current regulations, what we could do is first we would compare your current COBRA rate to what an individual health insurance policy would be. If your COBRA looks better, we say take the COBRA for as long as for that full 18 months. Then when we get to the point where you need to jump off of your COBRA, we would look at an individual health policy, and because you're losing coverage, that would give you what's called a special election into an individual policy without any medical underwriting or restriction in terms of joining the plan. So you would be able to very easily transition from your group health insurance to COBRA to an individual policy, and then we would be able to transition you right into Medicare when you turn 65.
Yeah, so and it's just not going to be cheap though. That's the problem.
Yeah, there is this. It's difficult. It's difficult to say what the COBRA premium will be because all group health insurance plans are different. However, with the individual health insurance, most people that are in that 60 to 65 range are looking at an average of a $700 a month premium. Until they get to 65, where you're going to drop that premium very significantly down into the $200 a month range.
Okay.
We hope that helps.
You.
You're very welcome, and have a great day. We do appreciate that. And we do have Aaron holding on line one. Aaron, good morning.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I have a question. I met with Aaron several months ago. I'm turned 65 last week. I'm still working. I have group health insurance and my wife is on my plan. I have an HSA account, and Aaron told me that I should not sign up for Medicare because I would lose that HSA account. But I've been told by other people that if I don't sign up for Medicare, then I'm going to have to pay a penalty whenever I do decide either to retire or to sign up for Medicare because I'm not doing it in my prescribed time frame.
So
is that true?
Sure. The great thing about Medicare is that you don't only have one election into it. So when you turn 65, that's what's called your initial election period. It's that 7-month window that surrounds your birthday, 3 months before the month of your birth, the month of your birth, and 3 months after. It is there for individuals just like our last caller, Donna, who maybe retired early or they never had access to group health insurance and they're on an individual policy or they're potentially on COBRA. You are able to immediately enroll at 65 years old and join Medicare But if you are like yourself, Aaron, and you have group health insurance, what you are able to do is bypass your initial election period, and when you are ready to leave group health insurance, you'll have what's called a special election into Medicare. And what you'll do is, as opposed to signing up online, like most people can do when they turn 65, what you will do is you'll fill out a Medicare Part B application. Then you'll also have what's called a request for employer information application. And what that piece is you fill out your personal info. Then the employer fills out, Aaron's been employed from the day he turned 65 until the day group health insurance ended, which was probably the last day of the month that you were employed. They sign that for you. You take both pieces to Social Security, and what that does is it opens up that special election for you because, one, it tells Medicare, hey, I've been enrolled in a group health insurance plan that was as good or better than Medicare, and two, I'm leaving it, so please allow me access to my Medicare Part B benefits. This will also eliminate the penalty because Medicare is only concerned with individuals who don't have the same standard of coverage that Medicare has when people turn 65. They don't want individuals to wait or lose access to their Medicare benefits. So you absolutely will not incur any penalties as long as when you leave the group, you enroll in a timely manner in your Medicare benefits.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Very good. So here's what I tell you, Aaron. Stay away from the water cooler. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Aaron's only done this 1,000 times. More than 1,000
yes,
times.
Quite a few this year, no less.
And always doing them correctly. So the thing is that, and especially in his case, he can still make HSA contributions until he leaves as well. And that would be something, and that's really the best thing you can do. That's
right, because if you have an HSA and you enroll even in your Medicare Part A benefit, you're no longer qualified to contribute to your HSA any longer because you have Medicare Part A. So what that does is it knocks you out of your eligibility. So if you do nothing, you don't enroll in Medicare, you don't enroll in Medicare, you don't enroll in Social Security, which also automatically enrolls you in your Part A benefit, you're able to continue to make those HSA contributions, which can be incredibly valuable in the future because they come out of your check pre-tax, they grow tax deferred, and as long as you use the money inside your HSA for medical expenses, they come out of that account no tax at all. So it's triple tax advantage, which is very rare.
There's nothing better than that.
Exactly. So you definitely don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by, one, enrolling in Medicare, which you do not need if you're on group health insurance in most cases, and two, knocking yourself out of the ability to make those pre-tax contributions.
Forget about it.
Exactly.
But we're not going to forget about Kathy. She's been holding patiently. Kathy, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jeff and Aaron. I want to tell you, first of all, I love your show. I listen every Saturday morning.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that.
My question is, my divorce will be final probably this July of 2017, and my ex-husband is to pay my medical insurance till January of 2019 for 18 months.
Okay.
At that time, I will be 58. I do work, but I work as a dental hygienist at 2 different offices, so I'm not offered any type of medical insurance since I am part-time at both places. What should I be doing now? What is my timeline for when I should start looking into medical insurance?
Well, hold on for a minute, because divorce is a little different.
Well, it's not a little different if he's paying the medical premium for 18 months.
But don't you go to 36?
Well,
on Cobra?
Kathy, are you going on to Cobra, or is he just paying the medical are you staying on the group with him and paying the medical premium, because some employers allow that as well now?
I think since he owns he's a co-owner of the business, I think he's just keeping me on there for 18 months. But are you saying I could pay myself?
Well, actually, this could be the best of both worlds, which is if he's keeping you on the group policy for another 18 months, then you would have access to Cobra after he kicked you off the group in 18 months, and you would just you'd have the same policy, but you would be paying the full premium of that policy for an additional 18 months.
Okay.
And I would say we would look at that. You would want to look at that when you get to when you would get to about the 6-month mark, a year from now, to see if, hey, does it make sense that this COBRA premium is better than an individual health insurance policy that you could purchase privately on the market.
Okay.
If those two, it really doesn't make sense to look too much down the road, because the plans change every year, the premiums change every year, so it's not really going to be the best comparison. But so when you look at the 6-month mark, that should be a good indicator.
Yeah. And you're saying the 6-month
Yep, 6 months before you are kicked off the plan, so about a year from now.
Well, actually, this depends on how he handles things.
Okay.
Because what happens is that if he's responsible for paying the premium,
right?
But that all doesn't mean that he necessarily would take you off of being a spouse.
Right.
If he was to leave you on as a spouse and pay for 18 months, which would be smart for him to do, because that makes it pre-tax for him. What happens is at the end of that 18 month of his financial obligation, what happens is he's then saying, now you're eligible for COBRA, and now you get 36 months.
Well, would she still get 36 months because it was divorced a year and a half ago, though? What's the time?
Well, COBRA doesn't start until the actual COBRA notice is sent to the COBRA beneficiary.
That's
so
a
if
good
there's
point.
an administrative issue, so hopefully he's listening to the show too.
Right.
So I should probably contact him and say, hey, can you make sure you don't contact COBRA?
Well, I would say there's a businessman way to look at this, and that may be it, which is as a way to do that. And again, that would be based on his comfort level and what he would want to do. But that certainly would be an option.
So it would make sense to really get more information on how exactly he's going to be handling paying your health insurance. If he's keeping you on the plan, then you can have some additional conversations.
So you've got the first 18 months covered by him. The next 18
to 36,
right between 18 and 36, is going to be on your dime. And frankly, that's probably the time, as Aaron was saying, is 6 months before that 18 months is over. That's when we would start looking and saying, hey, does it make sense to stay on COBRA for another 18 or maybe go to an individual plan? And we may even have new health insurance options by then, I hope.
I'm sure we will.
Or at least looming on the horizon,
yes.
For 2020.
Thank you. I really appreciate
You're
your
welcome,
help.
Kathy. And do me a favor. You call us when you get close by and get us up to date on this, because this is obviously an interesting topic.
I definitely will. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We appreciate that. William, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
So far, so good.
Awesome. What's your question today?
My question is, have a Roth IRA. When I turned 70 and a half, did not pull anything out. Is the rules different from if I have a Roth?
Yes, sir, they are. A Roth IRA does not require minimum distributions ever.
Because you already paid the taxes on that money.
That's right. Now, if you do have heirs that inherit this IRA, they will have to take required minimum distributions, but you never have to do it. You never have to worry about it. You didn't miss anything.
Well, I'll be darn good news on a Saturday morning.
Life
That's
is
what we're
good.
here for, right?
All right. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You have a great day, and thanks so much for that call. And that's, we were kind of getting into that.
That was going to be the next topic that we discussed inside of the question from one of our clients about making RMDs.
Right. So, again, kind of going back to this, we started the scenario by saying our client had turned 70 in August of last year.
Exactly.
He doesn't turn 70 and a half until February of this year. So his first question was, Jeff, I didn't make a distribution in February. Have I run afoul of the rules? And the answer is no.
Nope.
You have to take it by the end of December of this year, or that's option one, or option two by April of next year, in which case then you're going to take two in 2018, right?
Yes.
But there are certain things that aren't subject to RMDs, right? One of them being?
A Roth IRA.
By William.
Exactly.
There you go. William's question right there. And there's also something else, right?
So if you are currently participating in a retirement plan through work like a 401k and you're actively contributing, then you do not have to take RMDs from that account.
Right. So, again, Aaron, you make a very good point here, because if you've left the company,
but the 401k is still sitting with the company, you haven't taken it to an individual retirement account.
And you don't work there anymore,
still got to take the RMD.
You still have to take the RMD. That's exactly
But
right.
also, if you have other IRAs or retirement accounts outside of the 401k that you're currently contributing to, you still would have to take an RMD from those. So if you had a former employer, you rolled that 401k into an IRA that has been, that it's been sitting there, but you're also contributing to a new 401k, you would still have to take the distribution from.
You're just way ahead of me this morning.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate
that.
that.
Next.
Yeah, so, again, the process really begins with what do? We take a look at what the account value was on 12/31
of the previous year.
So like in our client's case, it would be 12/31 of 2016. Everybody has to do that for this year as an example. And then what happens is that you have to add up all the eligible accounts, right?
Exactly.
That gives you a total asset value. You then apply one of the basic formulas to determine what the RMD is, right? But you do have flexibility, as you were really kind of making the point here, of where do we take the money from?
Exactly. So if you have 4 accounts that are eligible for required minimum distributions, you could take from all 4 accounts if you wanted to.
Or 2 accounts.
Or you could take the entire amount from 1 account.
That's right.
You just have to make sure that once you've found what each account is eligible for, adding that number together and making sure you hit that number.
Across all of them.
Right, in any configuration.
And we know why, right? Because
if not,
it's not only not, but the plan sponsors are required to report that information to the Internal Revenue.
And then you also get that tax information at the end. If you're an individual who's been taking just distributions from retirement accounts, you get that 1099 notification every year. That's exactly what they're showing you, which is how much have you pulled from your retirement account.
And what's happening is the IRS, in theory, is checking to see across all the accounts that are sending them information on what the RMDs, if you've actually taken that full amount for the year. But you do have some flexibility, as you said, not only from where you can take the accounts out, but also how you take the money, right?
Right. You don't have to take a lump sum.
Nope.
You can take it. We have many clients that are taking monthly distributions from their accounts, and that already meets their required minimum distribution, so they don't have to do anything in addition.
Easy peasy.
Exactly. Or we have clients where they're meeting their RMD through a monthly distribution, and we just have to increase it every year because as you get older, your required minimum distribution continues to rise, or if your account value rises, you'll also see an increase in your RMD.
And then, we also have some other folks who they don't want the money, but they have to take it, and they're not using any of that income or any of those assets to maintain their lifestyle. So a lot of them will take it once a year. A lot of times November and December, right?
To use for taxes?
That's right, to use for property taxes. A lot of times, because most of those folks have paid off their homes, which kind of refers back to the first question that we had this morning, that our Mr. Climate Change person.
Yes.
Which was, and you were referring to this about cash flow. Folks that don't have mortgages are ahead of the game.
Right, because they have...
That's generally the highest amount that's usually the largest payment that many folks have.
It can be a third or more of their cash flow.
Right. So eliminating that then brings in the outflow, reduces the outflows, which means that the inflows could be smaller.
Yep.
And more significant at the same time. Okay, so we know that you have to take it out by the end of the year, and if you don't take out the correct amount, what happens?
Then
you're patriotic.
That's
more than truly you want to be, right?
This is a pretty serious penalty, because if you failed to take your RMD or whatever portion of it that you were required to take and didn't, the penalty is 50% of what the RMD was. Then you also have to take your RMD and pay taxes on that. So it's
ouch.
Exactly. So it's one of the more significant penalties in the tax code, because the government wants their taxes.
They want their dough.
Right, because the idea is that you didn't pay money going into this account. It's been able to grow tax deferred from essentially when you started contributing. So now it's time to contribute to the government.
And this is probably the second biggest area that we receive questions on, and we're very careful. We have a process in our office where what we do is we check all of our clients in January. We run our RMD report. We put things together. Then what we do is we develop a strategy for each individual client to make sure that they're getting their money either currently as a current income basis or at some time during the year, et cetera. And a lot of times folks are marrying, if you want to say that, these projected inflows for, you can even think of it as almost like a tax refund. You're getting it at a certain time of the year. The neat part is you get to determine when you get it. And then what they're able to do is kind of dedicate that money to various things.
Right. We have clients that are helping grandchildren with college education with the money.
Some are paying real estate taxes. Some are doing things like that's basically a month or two from now. They're getting out of St. Louis because
some vacation money, remodeling money.
I mean, who wants to be here in the winter?
Who wants to be
that's
here
the
in
point.
the summer? It's quite humid.
There you go. Go south in the winter. Go north in the summer. It's kind of a fun thing to do, especially if you're a St. Louis or Southern Illinois resident, which is kind of fun. But it all comes down to family math.
That's right.
Which is going to be our next topic when we get back. The one key, I really think it is, the one primary, the most important key to financial success. Don't touch that dial. Aaron and I will be right back to talk about that one key to financial success right after these messages.
Now back to Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here's Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we're back here on the Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the health insurance coach.
We're willing, we're waiting, we're wanting to take your questions as long as they're not about climate change.
Well then.
969 KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550 KTRS.
Feisty this morning.
At least I'm awake. So are our listeners.
That they are. Now they are. On the edge of their seats.
They're on the edge of the seats. So what
is the one key? It was like a cliffhanger.
I thought about this a lot, and I mean more than 5 minutes.
A lot.
I thought about this a lot. What is, if you could boil it down, maybe if you want to say what is the one key thing, I would again sort of maybe rephrase that and say, what's the one characteristic, what's the one behavior that successful people, I'm talking about people that successfully retire, those that are successful financially, what do they, what is it that they do? What is it that they have? What's the common characteristic? I'll tell you what it is.
What?
Family math.
Family math.
Having family math and sticking to it.
What is family math?
Well, family math to me it's a system of allocating expenses to paychecks. Whether it's your current bills, whether it's managing debt obligations, whether it's saving and investing for consumption, and long-term planning. Aaron, you have family math. You have your own family math, and we've talked about it before, right?
That's right. I do have my own personal family math.
Right, which is you're paid twice a month. Your first check where's it go?
First check goes to bills.
Goes to the bills, right?
Yes. All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
It doesn't go all to bills.
No.
I know how much you get paid. It doesn't go all to bills.
I don't.
Which is
some
good.
callers might suggest that it could be more.
Yes, could be more.
Yeah.
But you do have certain bills that you've allocated for the first one, right?
Exactly.
Which is like your mortgage payment,
heating bills, people.
And then when your
Then when your second
check comes in,
then I give that all to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That means I don't have to give it to you to start.
We'll discuss that later.
We'll talk to your mother about that one.
Yeah,
okay.
She would not agree. No, but right, exactly. The first month is for bills, so that's my essentially that's my monthly cash expenses, or that's my monthly expenses, and then the second I use for savings. Which is great.
Exactly. And again, depending on when you're billed for certain things, some people they've broken their mortgage payments into, some pay twice a month, right?
That's quite true.
Which is kind of cool. So again, what I have found is that people that actually say this check goes to this and this goes to this, or I'm getting a rental check, or I'm getting interest income and I'm using this income to do this, once they've actually tied cash flow to expenses, that's family math. And one of the key things that we do, and frankly, I think it's wouldn't you agree? I think it's kind of the fun, is getting in sync with everybody's individual family math.
Right, because it all starts out with, I spend about this much on fixed expenses, the mortgage, heating and cooling, maybe the grocery store, but then adding back in, hey, we go on a family trip every year, or I want to buy this, or we want to remodel the house. So adding that back into what the expenses are, and being able to match their cash flow with that.
And, at the same time, what they're doing is that they're also then, many people are saving. Most folks, again, are saving through their pre-tax contributions to retirement plans.
Exactly.
But also what they're then doing is they're also saving. Some are saving.
Maybe to create some after-tax vault money.
So the question is, again, I've just found that people with good family math, especially if they're younger, and also those that pass it on to their children. Yesterday we had an appointment yesterday morning with one of our clients' second children, right?
Yes, we
he has
saw
two, They have two daughters.
Yep.
And what's interesting is that, and this is kind of fun, usually we get the parents as clients, and then what happens is they eventually send the kids in to say, hey, Aaron, let's go see Aaron. You're a peer. Let's get a checkup, make sure their 401ks, working correctly, we're invested in the right way, and you're looking at some other things and advise them on that. But in this particular case, what happened was the parents sent the first daughter in first.
Right.
Who kind of was like the scout. And we talked to her, and we assisted her and her husband in getting their situation squared away. Their parents came in, and eventually then the second daughter came in, and we visited with them yesterday, which is really a lot of fun. But what was neat is that about what was the common thread between these? All three family members? Family math. Family math. Their family math was just rock solid. Because they said, we're allocating this part of our check to pay for this. This is going to this. At the end of the month, we know we have this aside. What do we do
with the extra?
With the extra. So our first question was, do you have a consumptive event coming up? And they were kind of fun because what happened was they said, well, Jeff, we've got about $15,000 in savings, and I feel like that's the right amount, but I've got about an extra $3,000 I'd like to invest, but we're going out to look for a bed.
So now you have zero to invest because beds are expensive.
Well, right. Well, they had told me, but guess what? As a part of their math, they had saved another $2,000.
Oh.
So they already had $2,000 set aside.
So this $3,000 was in addition.
It was in addition, and I said, let me ask a question. How much did you pay for your couch? And they told me that they paid, a fair amount for their couch. And I said, well, you're probably going to have this bed longer than you're going to have the couch. You're also going to spend more time on the bed than you are on the couch. So the question is, shouldn't you really get something that may be quality? So it kind of opened that up. So I said, do me a favor.
Buy the bed first?
Buy the bed first and then come talk to me later.
$2,000? That's a lot for a bed.
Well, it is, but unless you're doing a sleep number bed. It's more than double that.
That is a lot for a bed.
Well, it is, but if you consider you're going to have that bed generally for 20 years plus or so, amortize that cost, not that expensive.
20 years for a mattress?
Well, for the actual mechanism, you can always change the mattress out.
Okay.
But in either case, I'm not trying to sell sleep number beds, but my point is that
clearly I'm not.
Their math, their family math was really good. So then they said, well, if we get past this, we know that we're going to have X amount per month, a couple $100 a month, and what should we do with it? Well, again, we kind of look at this as a hierarchy, right?
Absolutely. First, you want to make sure that you have enough in your emergency fund or your safe money. So they said that $15,000 was where they felt comfortable having that money. We call it the vault.
Yes.
Then the second thing would be maximizing contributions to retirement plans because that's the best way to. That's really the best way to save. It's pre-tax savings. Also, you're in a really low-cost environment in terms of investing.
Yes, and then third would be then maybe taking a look at creating an after-tax account. You might call that an investment account later, so that what you're developing a pool of after-tax cash as well as investments, so that when that next significant or large consumptive event comes down the road, you don't have to go borrow for it, maybe, or at least you'll have a part of it as a down payment possibly, or as you get older, you don't have to try to invade that retirement plan, and we do see that, don't we?
Absolutely, or they continue down the same path of being excellent savers, not having massive consumptive events or emergencies that they can't cover with that emergency fund. And then they'll be in a position where they have not only pre-tax dollars in their retirement accounts, but they also now have some after-tax dollars accumulated in what you would call an investment account. So they have a way to potentially lower their taxes in retirement because they can pull from more than one source.
Yes, and and when we kind of get down to the essence of this, which is what we do, is when we're visiting with folks, I think that when we're seeing this kind of pattern of good behavior, which is folks living within their means, What they're then also doing, they're really concerned about making sure that their bills are paid, dealing with mortgage obligations, setting money aside. When we get to the time where they're getting ready to retire, most of the component parts of this game plan are already there in place. You know, they have their Social Security benefits. They've worked hard. If they have a pension, fabulous for them. I mean, if they work for a company, they're very fortunate in that way. But otherwise, they've been good savers.
Great savers.
They've had to be good savers, and they are good savers. So what happens is that, you know, as you and I have talked about so many times, and we do with prospective clients as well as our current clients, is everybody wants to retire on the same lifestyle, spending basically the same thing that they were on the day after they retire as the day they did before they retire. Having really good math puts you in a position to do that.
Right.
Because what we know is that people don't change their spending habits.
No, and also individuals who have, I think it also lends itself to a little bit of security when they move into retirement, because that's definitely moving into the unknown. You have to generate your own paycheck versus knowing that your employer is going to be doing that for you every month. If you've had family math, you already understand the cash flow of your own home. So
that's right.
You are comfortable in knowing, hey, I know what I'm spending these things on. I just need the cash flow to make that up. I know it's going to be there because I created that for myself.
That's right. And then for us, our job is fun. Because what we're then do is saying, okay, let's take these complex pieces, which is when do I take my pension? When do I elect my Social Security? How do I put this puzzle together so that we're recreating the cash flow that they had through their employer after they've retired? And that's really kind of the fun part, and they get it.
Right.
That's the whole point, is that they do understand it. They do get it. They understand that we're going to turn on and off faucets at different times. And, again, I think that leads to a sense of security, understanding that there's really a path. You know, none of this, again, goes back to
how much you have or
where did I invest the money.
Exactly.
Because if the math is right,
the portfolio will follow.
Exactly. You have to have your math correct. And I've been talking about this for over 10 years. And it just seems to run true. So from our first caller that called about people having a lot of money or little money, it doesn't matter how much money you have. What it really comes down to is your family math right. And if it is right, for many folks that get to that point, they've paid off their mortgages, right? They don't have one. Those that don't, they become rock stars very quickly.
Also, I think if you were to boil this down further, it's family math is about habits, right? We know this is where the cash flow is going. We do it. We habitually make sure that's where it goes. But we also see people that may be struggling with their family math, having this, creating the same habits, recreating the same habits regardless of their situation.
And yes, what our job is, right, is
to try either fix it or try and help them look at it in a different perspective, because unfortunately sometimes people have habits that are very difficult to break. You know, we all do. Of course, and we've worked with clients that have issues with debt. Helping them to consolidate and liquidate their debt is great. They feel great when it's over, but then we many times see them again having that same debt reaccumulate.
Right, and I also don't want to make the point here is that we don't work with folks that don't have debt, because we certainly
of course we do.
And creating a game plan to systematically liquidate that debt, I think with many folks that do have, whether it's home equity loans or mortgages or credit cards or stuff from the kids, etc., by being able to graphically show them what happens when we're able to systematically eliminate that debt, and how much assets it requires, really, if you want to think about it from a cash flow point of view, to maintain that debt. It's eye-opening, and what it also does, it becomes a focus point and a goal, which is very cool.
Right, working towards something.
The folks that we saw yesterday morning were basically 55. They told us, you know what, we're not retired. We'd love to retire in 5 years if we can. We want to make sure that we're on the right path. And in our discussion with them, it ended up really talking about, at the end of the day, do we put more into our retirement plans? Can we grow into retirement, or do we work on the other side, which is the expense point of view? And we have found, just as we talked about last week, that in their particular case, by helping them create a game plan to systematically eliminate that debt, by doing so, by the time they retired, that was the number. Taking that number out of their math put them in a position where they could continue to do what they wanted to do, because they hadn't accumulated $1, $2, $3 million.
Exactly.
Which is great. So Important things, and again, I just feel at the end of the day, family math. And that's one thing we do is we help folks with their family math.
Or we uncover the math that they didn't realize. We have so many people that come in that don't realize what excellent planners they already are.
Yeah, and it's
because it's just a natural thing that they've been doing, but they don't recognize that they've created a plan for themselves.
Well, they've created habits, and behaviors. So again, our goal is we want to get in sync with them in their behaviors, and at the same time then say, hey, maybe if we modify this behavior a little bit, or you consider doing it, you could have these results or these other results. And, they're adults and they have good habits. So the question is,
they get to make the decisions.
It's always easy to make good habits. It's hard to break not so good habits.
Right.
And we have one other habit we have to do, right?
Take a break.
We got to take a break so that we can pay for this show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the health insurance coach.
We'll be right back. That's right. It's time for Fire and the Coaches. Your last time this hour to ask Erin or I any questions you may have, 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS. We have a minute and 59 seconds. While we're waiting, Erin, I have a question for you.
All right.
Received an email the other day. I have $22,000 in my 401k plan from an old employer. It's not doing much. Should I add this to my existing IRA or move it to my new employer's 401k?
Well, that's a great question. My first inclination would be to move it into your current employer's 401k plan because it's in a lower cost environment in terms of expenses. But if you happen to be in a 401k plan that you're not in love with at work, it would make sense to roll it into an IRA because then you have investment choice. You have more investment choices available to you. If you're someone that likes to make investment choices for themselves, you have more control inside of an IRA. Or if you happen to be working with an advisor, that might be a place in which you would want to have additional advice.
Yes, and that would be a big reason to move is if you do want professional advice. At the same time, we do know, as you said, there's no wrap fees. You're not paying a management fee. By transferring that, and you can do that as a tax-free transfer. We call that a direct transfer. All you need to do is go to your employer, your new employer.
Give them your 401k account information.
Exactly, and what they'll do is they'll get a transfer form all signed up, and you could do that. And we're out of time. We will see you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. We'll be back next week at 10 a.m. here on the Big 550 KTRS.